Hey, this is John Focus. So I just drove from Alberta, Canada, to Saskatchewan, Canada, and I'm going to be working on Simon's 70 series. I drove down in my 60 series. I can talk about this more later. I was just going through all the parts with Simon. Everything we're going to use is essentially factory Toyota parts. But we're going to save a few bucks by not getting parts in the Toyota box. So if you're not aware, ASIN makes many of the parts for Toyota, such as the fan clutch, water pump, brake hydraulics, clutch master, clutch slave cylinder, etc. The main bearings used in Toyotas are Koyo, made in Japan, and NSK is a good alternative too. They're made in Japan as well. And the water pump is made by ASIN, but in this case I couldn't find one, so I went with GMB, which is made in Japan as well. But they come with a garbage paper gasket, so I ordered the proper Toyota gasket, which is metal. So you don't want to mess around with gaskets. You don't want to be having a leak when you're on a road trip. So this is Simon and his 70 series Landcruiser. And how long have you had this for, Simon?
Had this for 2 years. I picked it up in Manitoba, Brandon, and I flew out there, met the gentleman, and yeah, I fell in love with it. And now it's my money pit. And I have John here, who is amazing to come all the way down here and help me with this build. I don't know what to do without him.
How long have you, so you haven't actually driven this thing yet?
Oh, I've driven it. Yeah, so I test driven it. It rips. It has a turbo in it. Just want to make sure all the mechanical stuff is sound. I took it on the highway. It is still a little slow up the hills, but you know, we're gonna retest everything.
That's the beauty of owning a Landcruiser, though.
Yeah,
it's you you got to enjoy the slow ride, enjoy the scenery.
Yeah,
right?
it's not, if you're buying one, you're not buying it for speed. So
That's right.
You gotta know that. And yeah, here it is. It's a '86 Landcruiser, a 70 series. It's a small wheel base. It's fairly stock besides the turbo, and it has 606,000 kilometers on it.
606.
Yeah.
I'm catching up. I've got 592 almost on mine.
Yeah. That's yeah. These things will go. It's originally from Calgary. The gentleman from Alberta bought it from the gentleman in Calgary, and it had 500,000 kilometers before he put the turbo on, and it was mostly highway miles. He put about 100,000, then he let it sit for about 10, and then he got it running again, and then now I have it.
Perfect. Here we have a BJ70 with the 3B engine. So the previous owner turbocharged this engine, and the installation is less than stellar. So what they ended up doing was using some manifold that I've never seen before, and then they have an extension flange on it. This situates the turbo in a position where the exhaust outlet is very close to the firewall. So then they built the exhaust to essentially come up and around here. The other thing they did is they took the oil return off the vacuum pump. I've already removed it, and they used that as the pressurized oil feed for the turbo, which is completely wrong. And then basically what they did was they took the oil line from the back of the vacuum pump here, and then they came up around to the oil feed for the turbo, and then they took the vacuum pump return line off near where it is on the oil filter here, and then they basically took the turbo return line and put it by the oil filter, basically. This is how not to do a turbo installation. Okay, Simon is prepared for the big transformation of his engine bay. Okay.
Big reveal. I just want to say thank you for all the hard work you've put into this. Countless hours putting into this. I know it's probably not going to look anything close to the original. We'll probably put a before and after in this. All right, can I come check it out?
Let's come take a look. Let's see what his reaction is.
Wow.
Look a little different?
This looks so different.
What stands out right now?
Well, I'm a little overwhelmed, first of all. The turbo is completely different. The air intake is completely, all these brackets and painted parts. New radiator here,
check out that fan shroud.
Fan shroud you armored? Oh my god.
Sandblasted and
looks OEM. Oh my god. Oh man, and even the new belt, and then this is even brand new.
Sandblasted pulley.
Oh, you painted the fan too?
Fan clutch is the new fan clutch.
Oh my god.
New engine belt down there.
New air intake system.
Air intake.
And this monstrosity here,
Let's just come around here.
Oh my gosh.
Check out those clean turbo lines.
Oh my god. Black clean turbo lines in the right places. I can see connected to the oil pan.
Now the most time-consuming part of this whole ordeal was the exhaust. You should grab the light from the back seat there.
Yeah.
So you can see this exhaust. The exhaust took a lot of time to fabricate everything from scratch. I had to make a new down pipe, this thing.
Oh my god.
All the way down, coming out here underneath. Ties in under here.
Oh my god, John. And then you re-welded into the existing...
Yeah.
Holy guacamole.
New oil lines off the turbo. The oil pan was removed and an oil fitting was welded in the oil pan. I had to take this wastegate actuator here and make a bracket for it. I don't even think this was the right one for this engine, for this turbo. I had to cut this. I took about 1 inch off and then I welded it back together. Sandblasted the turbo just to make it look nice. This was on this side before. I moved it on this side so that it's not close to the manifold, so there's less heat. I'm going to stop the video there so I can properly explain to Simon what's going on here without the camera. But yeah, we did everything. New water pump, new hoses, new brake master, new clutch master. Getting the angles here was interesting. I had to make a couple different angles here and then weld it together, because this thing, if you put a straight pipe on this, it would end up coming out here. So I had to do that. Threw a piece of silicone hose on there. It withstands the heat better. Got rid of the rear heater lines, so they were coming out of this hole down here. So I put a brass plug down there to get rid of that. Just put a barb there for the boost gauge, because there was hoses and tees all over the place before. Cleaned up all the wiring with loom, secured everything in place properly. The neck going from the manifold to the turbo, had to make that from scratch. This guy, whoops, down here.
Oh my God.
Drilled a hole in that, have the pyrometer gauge in there now, so now we can take the temperatures pre-turbo. And then this bracket, fabricated a bracket here that goes, it's kind of hard to see, but it goes all the way down to the engine block to support the turbo. And yeah, relocated the steering reservoir.
Painted everything black?
Yeah.
This was just a rubber piece of rubber
It
hose?
was just a nightmare.
You will see the before and after.
Yeah. This was originally supposed to be up here, but because of the turbo I couldn't put it there, so I made a new bracket for this. The water separator, I managed to locate it underneath, so I made a bracket for that. I managed to use the existing hose, the original hose for this. I just had to snip about 1/2 inch off each end. This hose lined up perfectly, didn't have to replace this one. What else can I say? What else? Sandblasted these brackets and painted them that hold the radiator in place here.
The air intake?
Sandblasted the air intake, painted it. The only thing that's missing is the big plastic intake piece, but we managed to source one, so we'll get that coming. And other than that, yeah, everything's pretty much back to original, other than, you know, relocating these items. But my intention with these is to make everything look as factory as possible. I fabricated some new battery brackets. This cable here was all over the place, and it was getting frayed because of that, and there was supposed to be brackets holding it in place. So I made this little bracket here to support it, and then this little bracket, this little
hose clamp.
P-clamp, I installed on a pre-existing threaded hole here.
Right on.
New glow plugs installed, new caps for the glow plugs, new block heater down there. And then with when you install a turbo on these, you want to make sure you put clamps on your little vacuum on your lines here so they don't pop off by accident. Yeah, and all the clamps I use are these ABA. They're these stainless steel Swedish hose clamps, really nice. They don't cut into the hose. And what else? Replaced the 2 fuel lines here. Those are brand new. The fuel lines that the previous owner had put on were not the right ones. Usually they'll say fuel line on them if it's a fuel line. So I replaced those for peace of mind.
Thank you so
The
much.
original steel line that goes down to the lift pump here, he had taken off. I wasn't able to find one, so I just kept the hose on there that was there, but I added some loom to the bottom down here and zip tied it in place.
Okay.
Because this was a braiding on something and there was almost a hole rubbed through it at the other end, so I cut that off. And then it's basically just any basically diesel that is doesn't get used in the injection process, it just gets recycled back into this little pipe here.
Okay.
That goes between the injectors. It's called the leakage pipe. So the dipstick, the previous owner installed the dipstick tube in the wrong location. It's supposed to be on this side of the intake manifold. There was a missing nut on the intake manifold. I replaced that.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I basically secured your block heater cord here.
I could put another cable here.
Yeah, what I'd recommend doing is don't have this hanging outside the vehicle because you want to preserve this, and then just get a short extension cord. That's what I have on my other truck. So
And just keep that out on.
yeah, and you could have the other extension cord in here and kind of use that as your sacrificial cord, but try and keep the original block heater cord intact. So. And then he had replaced the battery cables, but I was able to route everything in a way where I was able to reuse them.
Yeah.
So I added little P-clamps in places where I could.
This was flopping around.
It was all over the place, yeah. So, but that when you get that plastic intake, it's going to end up going on here and going on here.
Okay.
And I'm not
And
sure.
then that piece in the back is going to sit.
Yeah, and actually both these bolts were broken off.
Oh.
And I welded nuts to them and removed them.
Okay.
So then
Should I dye this?
I already did that.
Oh, it's good to go. Okay,
Yeah.
great. Wow.
I removed the broken bolts, sandblasted it, which took a long time.
Yeah.
It was quite rusty on the bottom.
And you said you welded a crack in here?
There was a crack in this guy on the top.
Oh.
So I ground the crack out and I welded it, and then sandblasted it and painted that.
Wow.
So yeah, we're gonna wrap this video up, but that's the transformation,
We got
more or
one
less.
more. I got one more surprise John doesn't know about.
Let's take a look here.
Yeah.
What do we got here?
Oh, wow. Yeah. This one's just some preventative measure here. Preventative measure. I know I don't have a bonnet on top of here to protect for heat.
Oh yeah, that bonnet was so ugly. I just had to rip it off and throw it out.
So, and you know, since the turbo got set up and everything like that, I decided to get a turbo blanket.
A turbo blanket.
Turbo blanket. You know, got to think a little bit ahead here for the long drive. So yeah, we got this turbo blanket from JB Performance, and it's one of the. I got a small one because I'm pretty sure this is.
We'll see if we can make it work.
We'll see if we can make it work. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Right on.
Thanks a lot, John.
Yeah, no problem.
Throw the handshake in there.
Stay tuned for more fun with this thing.
I'm so speechless. Wow.